The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this Lunch and Learn webinar. Today I have Glenda O'Neill with me and my name is Donal O'Neill and we are going to be discussing letter templates in HealthOne. And Glenda is going to run through everything that you can do to try and speed up the process of sending out letters and just using the system to make life a bit easier for you. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the controls over to Glenda and she's going to run you through a demo on letter templates. That should be on its way
Great.
to you now.
Thanks, Donal.
Perfect.
Can you see my screen?
It's come up now.
Brilliant. Perfect. Okay, so hi everybody. So today, as Donal was saying, I'm going to run through how to do a letter for a patient in the patient file without having to change the templates. So I'll start off, I'll open Joan Baez. So we're inside her file, and I already did a consultation today just to save time. So you can see there's my most recent consultation. So I began a transaction, and I'll go up to this icon up here. So it's the kind of the little square with the little lines through it. It's execute a template. So even though the heading says execute a template, we're actually opening a letter. So we're in the patient file, and we'll open up a patient letter. And when I click on it, I get a list of all my letters here. So you can see at the very top here, I have my Quicklets headed Glenda in as a favorite. So that means it appears at the top of my list. If you would like to have letters just for your favorites, if you scroll down and you select the one you want and you right click, you have an option here, add to favorites. So if you click that, that letter will then appear at the top of your list up here. So what we'll do is we'll open up the letter and just double click to open, and you can see now the letter is opening, and I'm in the actual letter. So I'm in Joan Baez's letter. So this is my live letter, and it's pulled in today's date. And what I want to show you today is you can see here from mine that I'm in I just have a blank template. So what you could potentially do is you could just have blank templates for all your doctors, and they can create the letter as they go. And it's really straightforward with this pen icon. So you can pretty much pull anything from the chart into the letter. So I'll run through you can see there, it's like a little pencil or a pen. And when I click the drop down beside it, it says insert live template. So when I click on that, I get a couple of options. I can insert live template. I can insert from all data. I can insert from trends. I can insert from the active transaction or from a database. And I'll run through each of these options with you now just to show you what each option does. So if I click the first one, insert live template, what this does is this brings me into kind of like a preset kind of lists that maybe you would have put in on a template previous to this, but now you can just pull it in as you're going along. So if for this patient for today, I'd like to pull in a repeat prescriptions, I just highlight it. And when I see the blue line through it, I just press OK. And you can see what it does is wherever my cursor was flashing, it puts the repeat prescription table into that place. So you can see there, it has looked into the file, it has checked to see what our repeat prescriptions are, and it has pulled them onto my letter. So I put my cursor next here and I go back up again and I click on the drop down and I click insert live template again. And the second thing I'd like to add is the problems list. And you can see some of them are tables and some of them are text. It's whatever your preference is. So in this case, I want to pull in the problems list in a table. And I press OK. And straight away, HealthOne has gone back into the file. It's had a look at our list of problems and has pulled them into the letter here for me now. So if I click the second option then, insert live template from all data, and you can see there the icon there is it's the little yellow folder with the search. It's your control F function in the file, and basically that function you can see it up there as well when you're in the actual patient file. What that option will do is that will allow you to search anywhere in the file for any part of the particular file. So if I click this, you can see I'm brought into a search, and it's searching in the whole HCR, all the data within the HCR, and I can pretty much search for anything in here and insert it into the letter. So if I want to pull in, say, the patient's chest x-ray or x-ray, say, I just type x-ray and you can see straight away there it has listed the x-ray, and I'm going to highlight it and I'll insert it into the letter. So I have two options there. I can insert value or I can insert it as a table. So I'll put it in as a table with the second option, and I will include the date. I click that and you can see now when I close this, there's the chest x-ray gone into my letter there in a table. So as I say, you can pretty much get into the file and you can pull anything onto your letter. And as I said before, this is the live letter. So this is Joan Baez's letter. by pulling these in, I haven't touched the template in any way. All I'm doing is editing this particular letter for Joan Baez. So the next time I open the template, it will be gone back to a blank template. Then I can decide from there what I'd like to pull in. So the third option down is insert live template from trends. So this is a really handy feature too. This is just refreshing my trends values in here now. And you can see I'll be able to pretty much pull in any sort of value from my trends list. So in this case, in this example, I'll highlight the HbA1c. And you can see over here, it asks me, what do I want to pull in? How many values? So the last 3 values is set by default, but I might increase that and say I'd like to pull in the last 6 values. The options up here, I can pull them with to include the date. I can insert it as a table. And then the 2 options here are what inserts it onto the actual letter. This option, insert last X. So it's this insert the last number of values, which is the number I've set over here. So if I click that, it will insert the last 6 values. If I just click this one, it will just pull in this value that I've highlighted here. So I'll just click that first. And I'll just show you how that looks in the letter. And you can see there's the HbA1c, the result and the date it's gone in there. So again, I might go back in and I might say I also want to pull in her cholesterol, and I can hold my control key down. So if I want to select a number of these at the same time, all you do is click the first one, hold the control key down, and click the other one you want. So just say I want to also add in blood sugar. And you can see there it's highlighting them in blue. So I could keep scrolling down and I could click, I also want the hemoglobin. And when I press my insert, you'll see it has put them all in here nicely, neatly into the letter in a table with the values and the dates. So that's the trends are really handy. You can pretty much select, you can see there you have a list of all the different trends. You can also, in the second tab across, you have any items. So if there's an item from the chart that you'd like to pull in also, so just say I look for the creatinine, you can see there's my creatinine item. And when I click it, and again, I have these same values as I had in the other table. So if I click this one here, and if I just go back to the letter to show you, it has pulled in the last 6 values of the creatinine there. So you can see from that drop down that you can pretty much, you can work off like a blank template and just pull in the values that you need at the time of creating the letter. You can see there's my very detailed letter now with all the parts of the file that I wish to add in. I'll just click the drop down again. I also have insert live template from active transaction. So if I click this, what this will do is has looked back into HealthOne to see what transaction I'm in, and it looked at the most recent one that I just did before I started, and you can see there I can pull anything from the active transaction. So if I want to include the subjective symptoms, again, I have a couple of options at the top that I can tick on or off. So I just click that item, and when I scroll down, it has put in the subjective symptoms onto my letter there. The last feature in the pen icon is to insert data from a database. And this is really handy if you're sending a letter to different consultants and you'd like to have a table or an address book of consultants ready to type in. So if I just go back up to the top here and I put my cursor here, so this is who I'm sending my letter to basically. So if I click on this little tables, manage associated databases, that's where it's pulling my address book from. But for here, we're going to use the live template. We're going to click on this drop down and we're going to insert data from a database. And when I click this, I have my options here. And in this case, I want to go into my address book. So I click the little plus there beside address book. And you can see there I get a couple of options. So I just double click on this to open up the address book. And when I double click there, you can see in here, I don't have a big address book. All I have is Rory O'Driscoll. But to add other records in there, you just click the plus. And it will allow you then enter the email address and the doctor name. And if you scroll across, you'll have the address, the telephone details, the fax number, their speciality. So you can pretty much record all your information that you'll need in here. And then if I want to insert that into my letter, I just highlight it and I just click insert. And you can see there that it has inserted that detail into, and when I press apply, that is now in the letter there. So I can pretty much have my consultants all pre-set up and I can just very quickly insert them onto my letter. The other thing I can do is if there's a certain piece of text that I begin every letter with, or that I end every letter with, or there might be just a bit of text that I write in a letter and I have to write it every single time. Instead of repeating yourself over and over and having to type the letter up while the patient is there, you can create text blocks. And if I just go up here to the top, and you can see there's a little icon, it's like a little page with a red arrow beside it. And when you hover over it, the option will say create text blocks. So if I click that, you can see here I get a couple of options, and down here I can create new text blocks with the plus. And a text block is just basically just a block of text that I will be able to insert into the letter at any time. So if I click my plus and I name it, so I'll call this letter beginning, say, for example, and then I type in, you know, what I would normally say. So, dear doctor, and then I might say, thank you for seeing this patient, and whatever else you might write in there. So you can have as much as you need, and you just press OK. And when I highlight that and I say insert, it will insert that piece of text into my letter. And I can do my regular formatting up here if I want to change the font. But you can see there very quickly I can create a letter without having to do a whole lot. Pretty much all I'm doing is creating my text blocks, inserting it into the pen, and inserting the information from the file in here. So I can create a really good letter very quickly in HealthOne. The other thing I can do down at the bottom here is I can insert my signature. So you can see if I just go down and I want to put my signature underneath my name here, if I go up to this option up here, so you have this, sorry, not that one, this one here, and it's like a picture, it's like a little, I'm not even sure what the icon is, but it has a little blue with a red dot beside it, and when I click on it I get insert user signature. And if I click on that, the very first time I do this, it will ask me to upload my signature. So I've done a separate webinar on how to create a signature and how to upload it, and all, you know, it covers pretty much everything in relation to the signature. So have a look at that webinar if you're not sure, if you don't remember how to do it. But in this case, I'll just press upload. And it brings me into my pictures, and you can see there I have a signature here. And all I did there was I just took a white piece of paper, I signed my signature on it, I saved it into my pictures, and I'm just going to highlight it here now, and I'll just say open. And what it has done there is it has copied the signature in, and when I press OK, there's my signature gone in on my letter. So the next time I want to use that signature for anything, now that I've uploaded it, all I have to do is press again, press insert user signature, and my signature goes in straight away. So you only have to upload it once. And if you're not happy with your signature, you'd have to go into the user database and delete it from there, and then you can save a new one. But that's covered in the other webinar, as I was saying earlier. So that's my signature. The last thing I might want to do is I might want to email this letter off to the consultant or to whoever I'm sending it to. So up there, up on the top, I have this option. It's like an envelope with a little green arrow, and when you hover over it, it will tell you send current document. So that's what I want to do. So I want to send this document. So I click on this and I get a couple of options. And the option I'll use here today is send document by health mail. So if you have configured your system for health mail, you'll be good to go once you press this. If you haven't, or if you're not using health mail at the moment, there is another webinar that I did last time on how to set up health mail and how to use it in HealthOne. So have a look at that if you're not sure. But I'll run through it briefly here today. So we'll say send document by health mail, and I click on it, and straight away it has opened up the body of the email. It has put in the subject, HealthOne message, Joan Baez, and I can overwrite that and put in whatever I want here. And it has attached the Quicklist letter. So it has attached this letter that I've just created into the email body. So all I do is press my 2 and search for who I'm sending this email to. So in this case, I have Rory, but if I want to add a different doctor in here, I can just click the green plus here, and I can put in the doctor's name and his email address and all his details in there, and it will save it then in my address book for the next time. But for this example, I'll just use Rory, and I'll press OK. And you can see there Rory's gone in, you can see. Down at the bottom here, I can also check the Quicklist to see if I wanted to have a look at it before I send it by clicking on the little search kind of icon at the end there. And when I click that, it shows me the letter, so I can have a look at it and preview it before I send it off. Down at the bottom here, this is the body of the email. Again, I can create text blocks for this too. So if I wanted to, if I click the first little icon here, select a template, and I can have kind of set up bodies of text for my emails. And again, as I said, that's covered in another webinar. So if you're not sure how to do that, just watch the Health Mail webinar, and that will cover all of this. So in this case, I want to insert that into the body of my email. So I select template, and you can see I've put the piece of text in here. And I can then, if I want to, if there was something else I wanted to add with this letter. So for example, it might be a picture, an image I took, or something that came back from the hospital, maybe a scan or an x-ray. I can also attach that and include it with the letter. And to do that, I just click on the little PDF icon, the drop down, and I click from transaction. And I'm brought into kind of like a list of transactions. And I could also include, if I want to see the transaction, I just right click and I say display content. and it shows me the content of that particular transaction. And if I want to include that in the letter, I can just click on that and I can add it in. But what's really useful here is this list of documents, the second tab across. If I click list of documents, it gives me a list of my documents for this patient. And in this case, I want to have a look at this. So say it was this kind of, where's my image? The skin image here. So say I want to have a look and just see, if I right click on that and I say display content, it shows me the image that I've taken. So I also want to include that with my letter. So I highlight it and I just say okay. And you can see there now it has attached that JPEG. So I have my letter here and I have my image beside it. And if I want to see them, I just click on the search and I can say, show me, I just want to see that before I send it to make sure it's correct. And I'm happy enough and I say okay and I close it there. So when my email is now ready to go, at the end of the email, I can say, I can also put my signature in as well as the letter. As well as having it in the letter, I can put it into the email too by just clicking this icon. And again, because my signature is pre-configured, because I just did it in the letter, it's automatically pulled it in. If my signature wasn't configured, it would ask me at this point to upload it. And again, as I said, that's covered in the other Health Mail video webinar. So I'll just send that email. This email won't send because I haven't got Rory O'Driscoll's details in correctly. So once this pops up, usually what will pop up will be email sent, and I'll close it. And what it will do is it will stamp the HealthOne file, and I'll just save all of that. So I'll save the document in here as Quicklist, and it will also save a stamp that the email was sent and who it was sent to and the date and the time it was sent on. So you'll get that underneath there. So just to see the archive document, you can see it there. It has saved it as an RTF, so it's saved it in HealthOne format. If you are saving your letters, if in your settings, there's a setting in tools and options. And if I go into multimedia association, there's an option down here, use HealthOne to display the RTF document. I have that ticked on, therefore my letter is showing as an RTF. If I hadn't got that ticked on, the letter would show in here as Word. And the problem with that is when it's in Word, you can't actually send the email because we don't have the Health Mail integration in Word. So you want to be sending it by RTF. So if you can, change it in there, change it in the tools options and multimedia association. And just untick or tick the box on there. And then if you are, the reason most people would have it on in Word is because they want to be able to spell check, and obviously RTF doesn't have the spell checker in it. So if you did want to, you could just right click here and you can say open with external application Microsoft Word. So if I click that, you'll see I've opened it with Word and I can do my normal spell check and use all the Word features in here, and then I can go back and then I still have it as the RTF. So that's probably the best way to use it going forward. So that's kind of creating and sending a letter for a patient. The only other thing I'll touch on briefly today would be if you did want to edit your templates. So if I go up here to the templates, again, I'll just click on this drop-down list. And I'm in the patient file, but now I will open up the template. So I want to edit the template. So if I go down here to say Quicklist Head Gland 1, and if I right click on this, I have some options in here. So I can edit the template from here. It's also a good idea if you are planning on editing a template, maybe copy it first, because copying it will leave your original in there, and copying the template will create another copy of it. So if you do mess it up or if you do change it, or somebody is using that particular one, the copy template will just create another copy of it. So if you had a couple of doctors, which I've seen previously, like 3 or 4 doctors in the practice, and each one wants kind of his own template, you could copy the template and then save it with his name and then just say okay, and then copy it again and save it with the next doctor's name. So it will just give you that option to have a couple of templates in there for the different doctors. So in this case, I'll open up Glenda 1. And you can see in here, this template is pretty, it's pretty blank, like I haven't got a lot set up on it. But if it was, actually I'll open up a blank template just so I can show you how to kind of create a template if it was completely blank. So I'll go back in here and I'll go down to, I think it might be my Quicklist blank here. So I have a blank template set up and I'll just press open. And I'm into my template here. So what I can do here is I can insert, I can put in my header and my footer, and I can pretty much create a letter from the start. But this will only be if you're really, if you're starting out, or if you want to just create the templates first off. I still recommend that you do the letter, that they wouldn't be changing the template for each kind of letter they do. Do the letter on the fly as you would have done, as I just explained. But in this case, I'll just show you how to create the template. So the first thing I would probably do here would be I would insert a header and a footer. And what that will do is it will keep it, it kind of keeps it, it formats it nicely, it keeps it kind of nice and tidy and clean. And over here I get an option once I press that. So the first option here allows me to set the properties, so the height and the different parameters within the actual page header. The second one across will switch between the header and the footer. So I'm in the footer now, and if I want to add a page number into the footer, for example, I could say insert and page number, and it puts the page number in here, and then I can align it to the other side, or I can do any sort of formatting from there. I'll go back up to the top again with this switch between header and footer. It'll bring me back into the header up here, and for me, probably what I would do is I would insert a template. If I was putting in the doctor's details and maybe the practice image on this side, it's cleaner and it's just easier if you put a table in, because it keeps the alignment correct. So I highlight where I want the table to go. I say insert, and I say table, a number of columns. So we'll say 2 columns and maybe 1 row, and I'll say okay there. So let's put the template in, and don't worry about the border of the template. That won't print out on the letter. It's just there kind of for guidance for yourself. So if I click on the first one, and in this case I'll use the text block, because I pre-created the text block earlier on, and they're really handy for this if you have a lot of doctors in the practice. You could set up each one as a text block, and then you can very quickly set it into a letter if needs be. So if I click my create text block, and I have my doctor name here, so there's all the details. That was one I created earlier, and I can insert that. So if I was editing a number of different templates and I wanted to update, say, the telephone number or email address or something, if I create it as a text block, I don't have to type it into every single letter. So in this case, I'll just press insert, and I've inserted my details in there, and you can do your regular formatting or, you know, whatever else you would do. And I click into the second box in the window, and I say insert, and I say picture, and I just pick up my practice, so whatever my image is, and I'll say open, and it puts it in there, and I can align it to the other side, and I can, you know, do my usual word formatting. And then I can, I'll close out of the footer, and I'm into my kind of body of my letter, and I can say maybe if I want to add in today's date. So I'd go up here to the HealthOne item field. Item field is hidden out. I'm going to just cancel this for a second. I'm just going to open the template again. Okay, I think I might have been in the letter there. I think that might have been the problem. So what I was looking for was this little icon up here, and I want to be able to insert a HealthOne item field, and it was grayed out, so I'm pretty sure I was in the letter rather than the template. So that's a good kind of example of how you can easily do that in a blank letter. I know I'm in the template now because I can see the kind of the curly brackets and the details in there. So in this case, I'd like to add in the current date. So I click on my little HealthOne item field, and I search for, actually I already have the current date in there. Just say I didn't have the date of birth in, I'll just use that as an example. So I'll type in date of birth, and I'll click on the HealthOne item field, and I'll say date of birth. And you can see there's the item date of birth, and I say okay. So pretty much if you want to add a HealthOne item field in, it's this blue icon, insert HealthOne item. So if it was a blank letter like my last one was, and I didn't have the first name or the surname in there, I can just click where I want it to go and just insert HealthOne item field and say first name and okay. And I'm just going to move that down. And I'll insert the HealthOne item field and first name. And it's gone in there, and then I'll do surname. And again, I'll highlight it, and okay. And you can see, and so on. So I can pretty much insert, I can pre-build a template from here. I could also do the user, yours sincerely, I can put in the username in there as well. So there's different features that I can add into the template. But I'm just showing you that just in case you do want to update your existing templates. As I was saying earlier on, the best thing to do is, you know, just have one template or 1 or 2 templates for the doctors, and when they're in the actual patient file and they execute a letter and they select the letter from here, you're pretty much as well to just do it at this point here with the pen icon, as I was saying before, just inserting live information into the template. And that's pretty much everything. Is there any questions, Donald?
No, no questions as of yet, Glenda. That was excellent. That was a really good overview of it. And again, hopefully, it'll just save people a bit of time here and there. It means you're not kind of starting from scratch every time you want to do it. But I think great to see everything that you can add in and everything that you can sort of automate just to make things a little bit easier and a little bit more straightforward, I suppose. So that was really
Absolutely.
useful. And look, I think that was great. And for everyone listening, Glenda did mention our other webinars. So if you want to access them, you're best off going on to YouTube and just searching for HealthOne Lunch and Learn, and that should spit you back all the other webinars we've done so far. And again, we do have one coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you'd like to register for that, please do get in touch as well, and we'll be happy to accommodate you. So just thanks a million to Glenda, and thanks for everyone who attended, and we hope to see you on the next one. Thanks very much. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Bye.